My name is Pete, and welcome to my garage. Welcome back to Pete's Garage. Today, we're going to fix the exhaust manifold leak on the driver's side on this 2010 Cadillac Escalade. Last time we fixed the leak on the radiator, now we're going to go for the exhaust manifold. So let's go. In order to get your exhaust manifold off, you're going to have to take your spark plug wires off to get them out of the way. I like to remove the coolant temp sensor connector only because as you're trying to rip all this stuff off, like taking these boots off or even doing this bolt right here, they're so close. This is kind of fragile on this coolant temp sensor connector right there. So I like to take it off just to disconnect it so you don't worry about catching it on something. I always twist the boots and pull them off. You can hear them. Luckily, I just put an engine in this, so these lower ones, the ones on the spark plugs, should not be that difficult to remove. I like to twist them clockwise by the actual, there we go. I like to twist them by the whole thing, and I grab them with a rag just because it makes it less susceptible for this aluminum right here to cut my hand. You definitely don't want that cutting your fingers or anything like that. So let's just get all these off of here. Like I said, I just put these on here, so this is easy. If you haven't had it apart ever or in a long time, this will be a lot more difficult, I assure you. Just remember, twist it. And when you feel it break loose twisting it, then it pops right off. Don't just yank on it. You're going to yank the wires out, and then you're going to end up having to replace the spark plug wires. And cost yourself probably 60 or 70 bucks. Okay, that's pretty easy. Now I'm going to have to go underneath and disconnect the exhaust down underneath. Like I said, I was just in this and I made sure I put anti-seize on those threads, and that's going to save me so much time and aggravation that I put anti-seize on those threads. Okay, we need to lift this vehicle up much higher so we can crawl underneath this thing. Okay, there are 3 nuts way up there, and I put anti-seize on these bolts and nuts before I put it back together, and this is why you should always do that. That's about the easiest one. Here, let me go for the one above it, the hard one. All right, here we go. All right, came right off. Sweet. Now I'm going to use a MAP gas torch. Now I'm going to heat those up. I got to be careful I don't hit those oxygen sensor wires, but it should be good. Try to concentrate the heat on the actual nut. I think once I get it a little warm, it'll come off. I don't think it'll take too much. The good news is the new exhaust manifold comes with all this. Maybe I should put a straight one on this one, but I definitely don't want to touch that nut. It might be warm. And might is a definite. Just a little heat goes a long ways. Alright, now we're talking. Now we just got to go up top, unbolt the exhaust manifold from the head, which is also easier said than done. So at this point, we have it disconnected down there at the collector. Now we just have to disconnect or remove the bolts that hold this on. Now, on a lot of them, they're going to have a broken bolt at the back. That's pretty normal. You're going to have to extract it and everything. Luckily, this one we don't. I'm going to use a ratcheting wrench back there on that one because it's a pain in the butt to get any kind of socket and everything on it. You can go through the wheel well if you have the right set of extensions and all that. I just find it easier just to wrench it off by hand, especially if you have the ratcheting wrenches. So what I got here is gear wrench. You can buy them from a whole bunch of different places and everything like that. These are reversible that I have, but it makes it a lot easier to get on there. Now they're going to be tight because the torque spec is like 18 foot-pounds on them. But they're not the longest bolts in the world, so they're not the worst to get out. Just wrench it out like this. It's just a really tight squeeze on that back bolt, mainly because the way the body comes in. But once you get it out, it's easy. Smooth sailing from here. I always start with the difficult bolt first. I know a lot of people like to start with the easy ones, but if you can't ever get the difficult one out, taking the easy ones out doesn't make any difference. So I always start with the difficult one. Once you get it out, you're smooth sailing. Whew. Plus, you don't want all the other ones loose while that thing's dangling, trying to get to this back one. Okay. Now the other ones I can just get with traditional tools. And for that, I'm going to use my hammerhead, which I love. Seen any of my videos before? See, I like this Ingersoll Rand hammerhead right here. It's kind of like an air ratchet, but it doesn't torque your hand, and it actually hits like an impact. So you can just get down in there. So it makes easy work of these. I do need a new snap ring on mine though. I've used it so much. Now you got to be careful when you take all these bolts out that you don't drop the manifold and smack your spark plugs, because you'll break them. So do be careful there. Let's see, I didn't want to have these going back and hitting this steering shaft right there. So. All right, there we go. All right, last one up here. Now be careful that you don't have anything torque over and break that. That's the nice thing about the hammerhead. There's no torquing over or anything like that. Hold up your exhaust manifold while you take that last bolt out. You don't want it falling down and hitting your spark plugs. Then you got to buy new spark plugs without pulling that. If you hold your tongue just right. All right, let's take a look at the new manifold. All right, so this is a Dorman exhaust manifold. It's not the factory one, so we can compare them here in a second. All right, notice that we have a brand new cast manifold with a new shield and everything on it, where ours was kind of torn up. It also comes with a new gasket, a new seal for the collector, and new studs and nuts for the collector part of this too. So that's kind of nice that it comes with all that hardware. The factory one, if you get a GM factory one, it also comes like this, but it doesn't come with studs and nuts on it. All right, so the shape of the shield's a little different, but let's go check the shape of the manifold and let's compare them. This looks kind of small right there. Let's see how it compares to the factory one. The opening here, I can measure it. Okay, the factory manifold outlet. It's about 2 1/4 pretty much. Compare that to this one. Yeah, 2.188. All right, so this is, I mean, the tiniest bit smaller, but not much. I mean, that's not too bad. So maybe it's just the way it looked and everything. So from underneath, these look almost identical. You have kind of the rounded D-shaped kind of ports. We're about 1.5-ish high, about the same there. So I think we're good. As you can see, the factory manifold here has studs in it. Either you can try to get these studs out, good luck, or well, the Dorman one comes with these studs, so we got to put those studs in there. Yeah, good luck getting those studs out. Even with a stud remover, you'll probably damage the threads. So, all right, those nuts, those go on from underneath. We're going to put those there, and these should just thread in. I don't worry about putting anti-seize on that part of it because I actually don't want that to unscrew. Now the factory ones, you can see, you can put a socket on the end and screw them in, but it's just going to round off coming out. These studs don't have that, but should be good to go once we get it in. And I just put them in hand tight. Once you tighten it all up, it should be good. And then I will put anti-seize on these before I bolt it up final time, just so I don't have to worry about it seizing up on me. Another nice thing about the Dorman manifold is that it comes with a new seal for right there. This seal from like GM's, I think it's like $10 or something. It's kind of expensive. So you need to get a screwdriver in there. You can just pop it out. You just set the new one in there. It's ready to go. All right, I'm just going to clean up this little bit of gasket material that's on here. There's not much there, but just clean it up a little bit, just so we have a good seal. These are brand new heads, so it just comes right off. I am going to put a little bit of anti-seize on these threads, just in case I got to ever take it off again, because if you don't, then it's a pain in the butt to get off. Now the question is this aftermarket manifold going to be the same, harder, or easier to get past that intermediate steering shaft? And I guess we'll find out. I really hope it's not harder, but you never know. Will that slide through there? Nope. I'm kind of running into a little issue getting this in here. This wouldn't be bad if I didn't put the stud in already. All right, I'm going to pull the stud out just to be able to fit it past the intermediate shaft. Maybe that'll just give me enough room. Glad I just coated it in anti-seize too. Oh my God, you got to be kidding me. All right, screw it. I'm taking the studs out. They're killing me. A lot of times I'll take that intermediate steering shaft loose and then it's wide open once you do that, but the problem is on this one it's got some miles on it and that shaft does not want to slide out of there. Instead of beating the hell out of it, I'll just do it this way and probably slide right in until I put the studs back in. There we go. It is now in. Whew. Okay. Now I can probably screw the studs in. Okay. So my studs are in, and good thing I put anti-seize on it. So now I have it all over my hands. But the studs are in. Now, when you're putting exhaust manifold bolts in, always get them all in finger tight, or not finger tight, but make sure they're all started before you ever cinch one down all the way. And it's that way with all bolts like this, where you have a whole bunch on one thing. All right, and the torque spec on these is 18 foot-pounds. And 18 foot-pounds is fairly tight. So, I'm gonna start in the middle and work my way back and forth out. And the fun one in the back where I got to do it by hand. I got it most of the way in there without even having to use a wrench. So that's good. This one I won't be able to get a torque wrench on, but I'll just tighten it really tight. You can get a good idea how tight you need to go by doing the others with a torque wrench. Alright, looks like we're good. There, I'm going to tighten that back one a little tighter. And it's hard to get anything on it, so I'm going to do the old wrenchy on the wrench trick, which I really don't like doing on gear wrenches, but it's the only way I can get the right swing on it. Alright, there we go. Click, click, we're good. Don't forget your coolant temp sensor here. And our spark plug wires. Now when you put these on, make sure they click when they go on to the spark plug. How's my knuckles? There we go. Here, 2 clicks on this, on the coil. Click, click. All right, that job's done other than tightening it up from underneath. Now we just got to go underneath and put our 3 brand new nuts that hold the exhaust manifold on from underneath here. All right, here we go. Now that the exhaust manifold's starting to really pick up some heat, and you see it starting to really burn that off.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, please hit the like button. If you would like to see more content like this, please hit subscribe, and I'll get more content up as soon as I can. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments section. I'll answer them back.